For this project, you're going to need all of the building parts printed on cardstock. Also, you're going to need the wood texture printed out on just some plain regular paper. You'll also need a piece of graphics medium chipboard cut to 1/4 inch by 6 3/4 inch and a 5 inch by 5 inch square piece of foam board. I use the cheap stuff from Dollar Tree, works just fine. You also need a glue stick, some super glue, something to score with. I use a nail file, it works wonderfully, and your favorite cutting tools. Oh yeah, and don't forget a brayer. This thing is pretty indispensable when it comes to pressing things down and making them flat. Okay, so let's begin with the graphics medium chipboard and a cut out piece of the wood texture. Just make sure the texture is long enough to cover the chipboard and wide enough to cover the chipboard. Just use some glue stick and glue it down. Then go ahead and wrap it around and make sure it's nice and snug and even. And then set that aside to dry. While that's drying, let's go ahead and assemble the walls. Okay, so first you want to make sure you get your order right, and there's no specific order, it's really your preference as to which walls have the window. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue them together. So take a glue stick and run some glue along the tab. And then fit it in place, but don't press down. Make sure everything's lined up and straight first, and then give it a good press. And I like to roll over it with the brayer, make sure everything's got a nice solid. And we're going to do this for all 4 walls before we glue them down permanently. Okay, once we're done with that and all the tabs are in place, we're going to start gluing everything together. And we're only going to glue the first 3 walls because we still need to add the tab to the other one to connect everything together. And that'll be a little bit tricky, but it's not that difficult. Now, to connect it all together, we'll take the final section and apply a glue stick, making sure you get really good coverage on this. And we'll fold it over and move the last tab into place before folding. I'm sorry, this is all off screen, but make sure you line it up and fold it over, pressing everything down nice and neat. And go ahead and fold your corners so that everything has a nice crisp edge. I will also use a bone folder just to crease out the edges. And go ahead and fold in the bottom tabs. And once you're done with that, take the 5x5 piece of foam board, and that'll keep everything nice and square. Just slot that in. And then take your floor cutout with the front tab facing down and the other tabs folded up. Just go ahead and slide that in. We're not going to glue this in place. It's just a modular floor section that you can swap out. And there you have it, a basic room. Next, we'll work on the interior walls. Grab the 1/4" graphics medium chipboard that you covered in wood texture, which should be nice and dry by now, and go ahead and mark off a few sections that are 3/4 of an inch long. And then carefully cut these using a couple of strokes with your knife. They don't have to be exact. I like to edge these with my marker before I glue anything down. Again, it's not necessary, but it makes for a nice presentation. It tends to hide some of your mistakes. And then once that's done, go ahead and get one of the hexes that you cut out and your super glue, and just lay down a little bead of glue and stick that down. I like to use super glue in this instance because it dries very quickly. Now, once those are glued in place and the glue has dried, get one of your interior walls and just slide it into place. Now let's put it all together.